everyone, Miss GoElectric here. Now, I have reviewed a lot of e-bikes, but most of them have been powered by a rear hub motor, which means that there's a motor in that rear wheel. And they're really great because they are quiet, they're smooth, they're very user-friendly, and typically they're really good for the average rider. But if you want to do more than a casual rider, then you're probably going to need more torque than a rear hub motor. And that's where a mid-drive comes in, like this one on the Heybike Alpha. A mid-drive motor assists you while you're pedaling right here at the crank, and then it multiplies that power with the transmission. Historically in America, mid-drive e-bikes have had a high price point targeted to high performance buyers. So usually they're stripped down and they don't come with things that I usually look out for as a casual rider, like fenders or other accessories, or even app compatibility. The Heybike Alpha intends to change all of that, but can it deliver on the performance on these hills out here? And can it be a good everyday rider? We're gonna find out. So let's get into the specifications first, and then we'll take it out for a ride.
The Heybike Alpha is a Class 3 e-bike, which means it delivers pedal assistance at speeds up to 28 miles per hour and has a half-twist throttle, which can propel the bike up to 20 miles per hour in the top gear. The Alpha has a Vice mid-drive motor with 500 watts of power and 105 Newton meters of torque. A torque sensor detects pedal input for natural feeling assistance. The UL2271 certified battery operates at 48 volts with a capacity of about 14.2 amp hours. That is equivalent to 680 watt hours. The battery is removable and can be charged on or off the bike. The bike comes with a 2 amp charger, which should charge the bike from empty to full in about 7 hours. Heybike says the Alpha can deliver a range of up to 60 miles with minimal assistance. The Alpha comes in 2 frame styles, a step-through and a step-over frame. Heybike says the step-through frame will accommodate riders between 5'1" and 6'1", whereas the step-over frame will accommodate riders between 5'3" and 6'3". The frame and electronics are IPX4 rated for water resistance in light rain. There is only one color option for each frame style. The step-through comes in pearl white, while the step-over comes in galaxy black. The bike weighs 71 pounds and can support a total maximum payload capacity of 400 pounds. These are unbranded hydraulic brakes with 180mm rotors. The 8-speed trigger shifter and Altus derailleur are made by Shimano. The front fork suspension offers 100mm of travel with preload and lockout adjustments. These are puncture-resistant fat tires that are 26 inches in diameter and 4 inches wide. The Alpha has a colored LCD display, which includes a USB port for charging a phone or other accessories. The bike also comes with app compatibility and will feature ride recording, setting adjustments, speed limit customization in each pedal assist mode, and firmware updates. The electric horn, integrated auto on LED headlamp, brake light, turn signals, fenders, and rear rack are standard. Heybike offers a 2-year warranty, and the company has a decent-sized service presence with partners across the US. It is worth noting they have quality user manuals and assembly videos available on their website and YouTube page, as well as an active Facebook group community with over 20,000 members.
Well, those specifications look pretty good, especially because I've seen this bike as low as $1,500, but now it's time to take it out on the trails. This here is my Lumos helmet, and it is perfect for a day like today because it has features that will be great for the city, but it also has the goggles up front, which is going to be awesome on the trails. So if you want to learn more about this, I'll put some information down in the description below. But let's get to riding. Now this is a pretty heavy bike. I usually start my reviews without using any pedal assistance, and I'm in the lowest gear. And you definitely won't want to do this for long if you've run out of battery, but if you're on a flat surface, you might be okay for a little bit. But I'm gonna bump up the pedal assistance here. Ooh, nice responsive motor kicking in. Now, one awesome thing about this bike, and is one reason why I'm not gonna go through the pedal assist modes, is because you can customize this completely. So in the app, Heybike will let you take level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and set whatever your top speed is for those pedal assistance levels. So you don't really need to wonder how fast each mode is because you can set those parameters yourself, and this will go up to 28 miles per hour. Now the brakes are hydraulic and they're handling the downhill very well. So if you are going to be taking this out on the trail, just know that they're pretty good performance. Now I don't know what this hydraulic front fork travel is. Now usually they're on average about 80 millimeters. Kind of looks like it might be around there, maybe 100 to me. It's performing all right so far on these little bumps and ridges. Now this is a heavier bike too, so you want to be careful on tight turns and stuff. So they can be a little bit more challenging to maneuver, but as far as performance goes, this is really smooth. And in this third level, I have it pretty well calibrated to go quick enough for me. The torque sensor is responding really nice and quickly, and the motor is very quiet. And I think, to be honest, 500 watts of power so far seems like plenty, especially if you're going to use this as a commuter style as well. What a fun trail. These tires are doing a good job of absorbing some of that bumpy, rocky terrain too. The saddle is relatively comfortable. I think if you're going to want to use this as a commuter, it is firm, which is really nice, but has a little bit of give. I tend to like a really wide saddle if I'm going to use it as a grocery getter, but it's pretty good nonetheless. The grips now, on the other hand, I like that the material that they're made out of is kind of like rubber, but it's got a good texture to it. Another thing about taking this on the trail is that it's much more efficient with the combination of this torque sensor and the mid-drive motor. So even though it's 680 watt hour, kind of I would say average battery, it's gonna do pretty well as far as range goes because it's more efficient. The screen is really great because you can change some settings in the app as well to make sure that the screen is really bright, especially in a sunny day like today. And I've had no problem reading it. I like that it's colored. Shows me my speedometer, my different pedal assistance modes. And the other thing is that the full battery charge at the top is really helpful too. I just can't believe how quiet this bike is. The motor, when it engages, it's nearly silent. It's also good to have, the lights that this has, whether that is the front light being nice and huge and bright, or the brake light. Some bikes, they have those rear tail lights, but they don't have brake lights. And when you're in a wooded environment like this, it's helpful to have those so people can see you from a distance and know if you're coming to a stop. Other thing that's great about this is that it has a horn. And I think especially at this price point, I'm surprised to see how full featured this bike is. The electric horn is a game changer to me because some of them, they just come with a bell, and although it's good that there's something, when you're riding at about 28 miles per hour, and if you're riding amongst traffic, having an electric horn is really helpful to keep people abreast of where you're at. This is so much fun to ride around on. I'm really happy with how user-friendly this is for a mid-drive as well. Now, when I go to kick in on the throttle, I have to have already started pedaling in order to allow the throttle to engage. And that's because it's more of a protection measure for your equipment, whether it's the derailleur or the chain, because with the mid-drive, there's the potential to snap the chain because of such high power and high torque. And as you can see, this torque is eating up the hills on this trail very easily. Now, it's something that you will want to be aware of if you end up getting mid-drive like this is you want to be careful when you're shifting, because you don't want to do that while you're under load. So once you have a lot of power getting pushed through to the motor, just let off and let the motor quit and then shift, just so you can kind of protect your equipment like I was talking about earlier. It's so great to have a bike like this that's so quiet going through the woods like this, because if you do see, you know, any kind of wildlife or anything, you're not going to startle it as much as you would if you had a big loud 750 watt hub motor. I will say I've been in these lower pedal assist modes going up these pretty steep hills, and I've been really impressed with how effortless the torque is on this bike. Another great thing about a bike like this, especially for this price point, is that it comes with the fenders already. So if you're coming in on a trail that's a little bit soggy or even on pavement, they actually go down really far on the tire, so they're quite full coverage. I love that. In any kind of casual rider, I definitely recommend having fenders. And another really great thing about this bike is that it comes with this huge rear rack that's very robust, and a little strap that will help keep things secure to it. And Heybike does a pretty good job of providing quite a bit of accessories. So, you know, I saw not only pannier bags on there, but they have like a surfboard carrier as well. So if you want this as your beach bike, you could put that on there and bring your surfboard with you to the beach. I will say, so far, I've noticed that the throttle is not something that, you know, I would use similar to how I would on a rear hub motor. Like sometimes on a rear hub, I'll just like cruise around with the throttle alone. But this one is really just to kind of give you some minimal assistance, it seems. And it is tied to your gear set, so that's something to be aware of if you want to use the throttle and you want it to go faster than, you know, say 8 miles per hour, like I'm seeing in the lower gears. And you kind of got to shift up and use it like that when you're in those higher gears. You can see now I'm up at like 12 miles per hour. What's also really nice about this is that it has turn signals. And not only are the turn signals off the back of the bike on the brake light, but they're also on the front, which is unique. I've only seen that on a few other bikes. But I do love that they include that, because again, if you're going to be commuting with this as well, it's great to be able to signal to traffic from the front and the back of your bike. I quite like the riding position. I'm not leaning over too much. I do want to have some, you know, ability to kind of lean a little bit forward, especially on trails for like taking it out like this, to manage the balance. And that's also another good point, is that something like this, if you are going to take it on trails, it's way more balanced be having the motor right at the center of the bike. So I think that's also why, as far as the handling goes, it's been feeling really nice when I'm coming around corners and stuff. It's very centrally positioned. Just gonna bump up this pedal assistance to 5. Give it a whirl just to see what it feels like. Now I'm not gonna tap out on the maximum speed up here, but I'll give it a little bit. Really exceptional how it just kicks in instantaneously. Woo, that's a lot of torque. To be honest, I just bumped it down to the second pedal assistance, and this is more than enough for a trail like this for me. I mean, it gets me up these hills just fine in this second mode. All right, now that I spent quite a bit of time on the trail, I've been pretty happy with the performance so far, but I want to see how it rides on the road, because if I was to buy a bike like this, I'd be using it as a commuter too. I want to do a throttle test, see if it'll hit 28 miles per hour. Get up 5, start climbing my pedal assist modes and my gears. I gotta turn my turn signal off. 7. All right, gear 8. All right, I'm at top gear. It's a slight incline, giving it all the power I've got, and I'm hitting 29 miles per hour. So a little bit of an incline, that's pretty good. It's basically showing me on the screen there that I'm tapping out on that power as well. Whew, I did put in the work for that though. I do want to see if I can get this throttle going though, now that I'm at the highest gear and I'm on the highest pedal assistance. Let's see if it'll hit that 20 mile per hour mark. So far it's not looking like it, but I'm getting on flatter terrain here, so let's see what it can do. All right, here we go. There we go. I'm around relatively flat terrain, and I'm at about 21, and I got a slight decline, but yeah, that throttle can hit 20 miles per hour. Just know you gotta be up in that 8th gear so that you can reach that top speed. That's definitely something that I would not rely on. You know, some of these other bikes are really easy to be able to switch up and get the throttle going so that you can get out of a lot of different situations, but this is not a bike that's geared towards that. It's really just there as a slight assist when you're gotta get down in my gear. See, you don't want to do what I just did there, which is under load, shift out like that, because you're gonna damage something. There we go though. Should have shifted down before I try to get down. There we go. I feel like this bike really shines in these lower gears in this high pedal assist mode. Now this is a very, very steep hill, and see if I can get down. There we go. Just pedaling, it's doing such a great job getting up this steep hill. Now see if I use the throttle on something like this, it's it's not really performing all that well because I'm in such a low gear. So pedal assist I'm better off in to get me up this steep incline. Well, let's head back and I'm going to share my final thoughts on the Heybike Alpha. All right, now that I've spent some time riding on the trails and on the road with the Heybike Alpha, it's time for me to share my final thoughts. So let's start off with the things that I would really like to see improved with the Heybike Alpha. Now, this first point I'd like to bring up is more of a personal issue because I'm 5'11" and a lot of that height is in my legs, and this frame only comes in one size when you're considering the step through, and I wish that they had more to offer because when I ride on this bike my knees are bent a little bit and I can't get that full stride that I'm looking for. So to have maybe a little bit bigger of an option for the step through would be nice. Now, if you are a taller rider, they do offer the step over frame, which is supposed to support riders up to 6'3", but me personally, I love a step through. While we're talking about the frame, this step through only comes in the color white and the step over only comes in the color black. So I wish there was a little bit more variety as far as the colors go. Now I do understand the economics of it and that the price point is lower, so it probably helps to make only one color for each frame. And I will say they have done a pretty good job when it comes to adding these graphics to kind of spice up the design a little bit more. As far as comfort goes, the next thing that I would like to see improved has to deal with these grips here. They're very rigid and they don't really have any give to them, and I wish they had a paddle shape on them so that when you're riding for longer periods of time, it's more comfortable on the meat of your hand here. Now, I've already got a couple blisters from riding around on it because it's so rigid, and the other side of that is that this is a half twist throttle. I tend to prefer a throttle that you can engage with your thumb for a few reasons, but one of the reasons is, especially with a grip like this, is it makes it really uncomfortable to pull that back and hold your hand in that position. So if you're gonna buy this bike, I would probably recommend that you wear gloves while you're riding just to keep your hands nice and comfortable. Typically, mid-drive e-bikes do not offer a throttle, so I'm glad that Heybike decided to put one on the Alpha. Just know that it is very limited and you're not gonna get quite the performance that you would on a rear hub motor, for example, but that is really because it's designed to protect the components. You don't want the chain to snap or to damage your derailleur. So just know that when you're using the throttle only, that the torque is gonna be limited and your top speed is gonna be limited to 20 miles per hour, but that is a trade-off that I think might even be worth it when we're considering the performance of the pedal assistance that I'll talk about in a little bit. I am glad that Heybike has an app that works with the Alpha, but I've noticed a couple things in there that need to be updated. For one, it is April and they still have Christmas themed icons all over it. But two, more importantly, when you want to record your rides, there is a portion where you put in your weight and your height, and it looks like it hasn't fully translated to the US market because when you go to put your height in, it only accepts inches or centimeters, and it says it will accept feet, but you can't type in your full height using how you would as an American, like 5'11" in my case. The last opportunity for improvement that I'd like to see has to do with this cable management. This cable coiling, I wish there was more of it so that it would keep it nice and tidy, but I'm glad that it goes straight into the frame from here. And now on to the positives, and the first one has to be that this is a screaming value. Now, it is listed at $16.99 originally, but I've seen it as low as $14.99, and I think that is a great price for what you get here because it has all those accessories included that I'm always saying you need for the casual rider, which is fenders. You also have a nice, robust rear rack, and there's a rear brake light that has turn signals and a headlamp that also has the turn signals incorporated. So the value here is wonderful, especially considering this is a mid-drive bike. The next thing has to be the performance. Now, this has excellent torque, and that pedal assistance is absolutely wonderful, especially when you're going up really steep hills. Now, I was filming this review on the same day that I was reviewing another bike that has 50% more power and it's a rear hub motor, and this was crushing it on the hills. So I think that the performance on this is wonderful, and that's really what you want a mid-drive for, is to get that real great torque, especially in those hilly climates. Another factor of the mid-drive motor is the transmission, and I feel like they did a great job of making this calibrated nice and smooth right out of the box. Even though this is a mid-grade component, the Altis derailleur from Shimano, I think it was super snappy and super smooth throughout the process. And the other thing I like about this is that it's so quiet. I was impressed with not only the motor being quiet, but also no flywheel sound, which added to that quietude. I really enjoyed that. A lot of times when you're looking at an inexpensive bike, there is some sort of a compromise, especially with safety. And the Heybike Alpha is actually UL certified for both the electrical system 2849 and also for the battery with UL 2271. So I'm really impressed that they can do that at this price point. It really gives you peace of mind. As I kind of touched on, this bike comes with pretty much everything that you would need, but they also have a good variety of accessories. And they have one in particular which I thought was really cool, which is a rack to carry a surfboard on the side here. So there are a lot of variety as far as the activities that you want to do that you can pair with this bike. Now, direct-to-consumer e-bikes typically don't have, or they're very limited with their retail presence or their service network. And Heybike seems like they've done a pretty good job when I typed in my zip code to see a lot of retail locations around, but when it came to service, it didn't look like there were too many authorized service partners, which is important for any kind of warranty repair, especially if you want the labor when it comes to going to a service provider. Now, I know I started off with the same point, but I'm going to end it on this as well. This is a really great value. So if you can find this bike for about $1,500, I think it's worth it if you're shopping for a mid-drive motor with this kind of torque performance. I think it's a no-brainer. Well, thank you guys so much for watching this latest review of the Heybike Alpha. And if you want to learn more, then see the discount link in the description below. And if I have a discount code, I'll put one down there as well. Until next time, drive, fly, ride. Go electric.